Holly Golightly saw melancholy brightly as she reclined like a jockey on a live metaphor and thought 9 to 5 was a hockey score. Yet every phrase she uttered was glazed with butter. It was unlawful. You could pour her voice on a waffle. And she tarried in the mind like honey, but if you married her, you would have to find more money. The cabaret in her bonnet turned Broadway into a sonnet, and she morphed into euphoria at the Waldorf Astoria, where the white gefilte fish was quite Vanderbiltish. But the New York steak now got so thin, she thought the cow was from Brooklyn. You see, only the cat knew that. If she was Luna, he was through with tuna. Holly is the bold novella who told of how oysters got to be Rockefeller. And the ode was thus melodious, as she tilted her Vanderbilted head and said, the Dutch missed a clutch on a bay to China and ended up in a Broadway diner, where they didn't serve ham or pork, and that's how New Amsterdam became New York. The Big Apple is the throne of fiction, grappling with its own diction, as she'd later see when a waiter asked, are you talking to me? Singers and stars lingered in bars, drinking martinis and thinking of Fellini, iotas above quotas in the strata of data. Yet somewhere between stock roulette and the Rockettes, there were tall, fleeting mitts to have from Wall Street to Fifth Ave, that is, until high-tech went Microsoft and sent a check to Madoff. The storybook of Holly took inventory on a trolley, drifting bereft with only 3 shoplifting days till Christmas left, and tomorrow's rent was borrowed spent. The cast of her epiphanies had breakfast at Tiffany's, but she should have made a right turn at the height of her tawdry sojourn, for she could have been Audrey Hepburn. Holly dabbled beyond her own block upon yonder babbling sidewalks, where the riddle of desire had to be witty in the middle of Empire City. But fame was like the whimsy of Catch Me If You Can, as she became Lindsay Lohan, and ad hoc no refrain took everything that wasn't locked or chained. She wore a G-string to Sing Sing, where a lot of criminals got subliminal, as the felons were then enchanted by melons that had been implanted. Yet she was immune to such queasy mirth, for it was much easier to get water balloons at Woolworth's. She abounded with a quick charm that didn't want to be surrounded by chickens on a farm, and though nostalgia burned a light, there would be no return flight, for she came to town hunting, and even if it was 4th down, she wasn't punting. Holly was in the hub of fun with the follies at Club 21 amid the gilded organs of J.P. Morgan's, where she got her Donald Trump quite debonair despite that ski jump on his hair. Yet, he was high society and she didn't exactly fly with sobriety. So you see, her frolic with socialite uppers got to be symbolic after supper, and she never got to pick a wedding ring, forgetting that a Bolshevik cannot marry a king. So that December melted with no regrets, as she and the cat remembered what embers to forget. And Holly beckoned to learn, for folly may not get a second turn. Yet she clinged to no refined glossy crowns, as she dined on duck saucy wings in Chinatown. But she never took a fortune cookie because she didn't want to look like Snooky. Holly choreographed the glory of her path and willed it would not relent, like a Chrysler building hood ornament, cast iron wrought, but she had one last dying thought. So only love lost knows what love cost. But if Cleopatra had been a minx at home, the Sphinx would then be in Rome. For her ballad burned so incandescing, she turned Caesar into a salad dressing. Holly's book of no refrain took a trolley train to splendor aglow by a vendor who fried dough beside a Tiffany window. Here was her sod aristocrat, and she almost forgot the cat. The allure of her voice opened the door to his Rolls Royce, and it was sunny side up with money on a prenup, as Holly went from a tent to a palace, and they hadn't yet invented Cialis. Holly sat in awe amid pleated silk and clover, and the cat saw that heated milk was over. Burn beef Wellington for two turned a leaf into Ellington's Rhapsody in Blue, and that morn she gave away the cat who was born stray. But Holly Golightly, who saw melancholy brightly, tilted her Vanderbilted head and said, "This cat is a fickle, sublime metaphor. I got him behind a nickel-dime store on a Mulberry dead end. Au revoir, my huckleberry friend." The cat's heart then got sentimental in its eyes, but Holly thought, that's all been compartmentalized. Yet she said, "Come what may, if some day he hears a familiar tune and quivers, give him a spoonful of liver and always play Moon River."